Hello, good afternoon. Good afternoon to all those who are in the Asian time zone. Also welcome back everyone, and welcome Zen Master Dae Bong. He's already here with us. Right, and Zen Master Dae Bong later on will give his talk and will answer questions from the floor. Those who have questions, please type your questions in the chat room, and our volunteers will compile them, and I'll read the compiled questions to Zen Master Dae Bong later. Right, and a bit of housekeeping, just a gentle reminder to all, please turn off your video throughout the session, and we also request that you do not capture any screenshot or do any recording of any part of the session to respect the privacy of all who are present. And with that, I'll give a very brief introduction of Zen Master Dae Bong to those who are still not yet familiar with him. Zen Master Dae Bong began practicing with Zen Master Songsan in 1977 and became a monk in 1984. He received Dharma transmission from Zen Master Songsan in April 1999. And before studying Zen, he worked as a counselor in a hospital and as a welder in a shipyard. He has practiced and taught extensively in Zen centers throughout the United States, Europe, and Asia. He's a guiding teacher and abbot of Musangsa, Karyongsan International Zen Center in Korea. Now let us put our hands together to invite Zen Master Dae Bong to start his talk, entitled Hit You 30 Times.
Hello everyone, good afternoon. I assume you're hearing me. It's a somewhat new experience for me doing these online talks where I can't see you, but we'll see what we can do. First of all, I hope everybody and your families are safe and your situation is okay considering this virus that is passing around throughout the world. I heard that Malaysia has some very strict guidelines that people are following, and that seems to be helping. So I hope the situation soon improves for everyone. The talk today is on the Zen speech, I hit you 30 times. It's very funny. The description says, often Zen Master Songsan used this sentence in his Dharma talk or commentaries. If you open your mouth, I hit you 30 times. If you close your mouth, I will still hit you 30 times. Then I ask you, what do you say? If somebody says that to you, what can you say? But the description here includes a question. Would the Zen Master really hit us for 30 times with his stick if we answer wrongly? Also, what does this sentence mean? I never heard of Zen Master Songsan hitting somebody 30 times. In fact, he very rarely ever hit somebody physically. I imagine, I'm sure that it would just have been teaching. He once said, if you hit somebody physically, only hit somebody who already believes in you 100%. Otherwise, afterwards, more don't believe you. But this sentence is not just Zen Master Songsan's sentence. This has been used throughout the history of Zen. Basically, I hit you 30 times means you're wrong, or you're involved in opposites thinking. And it's used to help a student return to don't know mind. Even if your question is, what did I do wrong? That's already a question. It's already don't know mind. What else can we say about this? Buddha said there's 4 kinds of horses. The first horse, often horse riders will carry a whip and they'll use it to make the horse go. And Buddha said the first kind of horse will run even when it sees the shadow of the whip. The second kind of horse will run when the rider touches the horse's body with the stick, with the whip. The third kind of horse needs to be hit with the whip, and then it will run. And the fourth kind of horse needs to be hit many times, and then it will run. So this fourth kind is I hit you 30 times. One time hit, not enough. So I hit you 30 times. And hopefully you will take that to really have a big question of what is this? What does this mean? Or what did I do wrong? What is my mistake? So basically, I hit you 30 times is pointing you back to don't know mind. We say that in Zen practice, two things are very important: meditation and wisdom. Meditation means keeping a not moving mind. Each moment very clear. You're sitting practice. Your mind's not flying off about other things. You're driving, you're paying attention to your driving. You're not thinking about your bank account or a problem you have with somebody. When you're washing dishes, just do it. Just wash dishes. But you know, if we observe ourselves, if we're paying attention when we do things, often we'll be doing something and thinking something else. So meditation is this practice of coming back with our attention to what we're doing and try to eliminate these mind habits of taking me out from what I'm doing. And noticing, this mind habit. Very important, just noticing it already begins to reduce its power over us. Then next, wisdom. Wisdom means being clear, substance, truth, function. I believe earlier Hoeh Beng Sunim talked about those three things. If we have clear experience, substance, truth, function, then naturally in our everyday life situations, if we're not holding any opposite thinking inside, then this correct action will automatically appear. Name is wisdom. So Buddha's job, Zen master's job, is point that way. Point to correct meditation. Point to our true, already possessed wisdom. Point to that. So using this speech, I hit you 30 times, is also pointing to that, pointing us back away from whatever we're thinking that moment. I want to use read the commentary of one Kongan here in our Whole World's a Single Flower Kongan book. This is number 295. The famous Chinese Zen master Unmun said, "This world is vast and wide. Why do you put on a sevenfold robe at the sound of the bell?" I guess this is a sevenfold robe. Then, skipping the questions that Zen Master Sung San asks, I just read his commentary. Your mind and this world, which one is bigger? Open your mouth and you cannot find your direction. Close your mouth and you lose your direction. At the sound of the bell, go to the Dharma room. So here he's using this speech of, if you do this, then you cannot find your direction. If you do that, then you lose your direction. Very similar. If you open your mouth, I hit you 30 times. If you close your mouth, I also hit you 30 times. This is hitting our opposites thinking. Human beings suffering comes from opposites thinking. We do not perceive our original nature, so we do not see the situation clearly. Our opinion appears, and it appears very rapidly, very deeply in our thinking, in our emotions, in our relationship to our body, in every moment of our life. If we have a big question, then we can begin with this don't know mind to cut into the appearance of our opinion. We can begin to see it as it appears and let it go. Then it's very clear. When the bell sounds in the temple, put on your robe and go to the Dharma room. If you have no robe, go to the Dharma room. So the direction when the bell rings is very clear. In the temple, go to the Dharma room. If your child is suffering, the direction is very clear. Help them. If you see somebody on the street who's hungry and homeless, the direction's clear. Help them. So if you're caught in opposites thinking, you cannot find your correct direction. And sadly, we can see in this world how strongly true that is of the human beings and our society. And of course, this pandemic a little bit helps us see that more clearly. So if we use this virus situation to help us be more clear and to wake up, then it will be of great benefit to us. If not, then the way the universe works, something stronger will appear and hit us, whether it's in my personal life or in our whole social life. So this is an example of, here he doesn't say, I hit you 30 times, but he does give you these opposites. If you open your mouth, you can't find your direction. If you close your mouth, you lose your direction. So same as if you open your mouth, I hit you 30 times. If you close your mouth, I hit you 30 times. You're stuck. What can you do? If you keep your mouth shut and don't do anything, you have a problem. If you open your mouth, you have a problem. So this drives us into don't know. And out of don't know, true, correct wisdom can appear. So that's the purpose. The Zen master doesn't wait for the world to hit us. If we keep an opinion, eventually the world will hit us. But the Zen master and Buddha's job is, if you present yourself to them, to hit you before the world does, if you time it right. Then you have a good chance of learning something before a big problem comes up. Our practice helps our daily life. Our daily life also helps our practice. So I give you an example of hitting as speech. Years ago, we were making a Zen center in New York City, and the Korean students of Zen Master Seung San, he had a group of doctors who were meditation students with him, and they put together some money and were able to buy a building in New York City. And Dae Sunim sent a bunch of us down there to tear out the inside and build some walls to make a meditation room, 2 bedrooms, a small kitchen, 2 bathrooms, and a tea room. So we were down there building this ourselves. This is in the 1970s. And if you understand the way at least Western buildings are built, the inside of the wall is a frame made from pieces of wood. And they're usually placed a very set standard of distance apart, which I think would be about, in centimeters, 30 centimeters. So when you're building that wall, you can walk through it because it's just these individual pieces of wood, 30 centimeters apart. Then to keep the wall strong, at different locations throughout the wall, you put a horizontal piece between these two. Maybe up here on this one, down low on another one, and it keeps the wall very sturdy. So before this, the outsides of the wall are put on, you can walk through. So one time we were working there, and one of our American Sunims was a good carpenter, and he was working. And as he went to walk through the wall, he wasn't really watching, and he hit his head on one of these cross pieces. And then he was sort of stunned and fell back, and he looked at Seung San Sunim kind of like, help me. And Seung San Sunim said to him, I hit you again. So that's our job. Each of us point students back to be clear, be clear. Sometimes, maybe if he fell down and bleeding, then you wouldn't say, I hit you again. You would go get a towel and help take care of the bleeding. But if you're just standing there fine, then Sung San Sunim added to it. I hit you again. So this is the world action in the speech of a Zen master. And this is all through the tradition of Zen. If you read the transmission of the lamp, there's many situations where either the teacher says, I hit you, or obviously they took a stick or something and hit the person. Nowadays, teachers don't hit so much, very rarely. Even Sung San Sunim in the West, very, very rarely, and only some students who had real faith in him. One time I went on I was still a lay person living in the Zen Center, and I went on a solo retreat for 49 days, which Sung San Sunim had suggested, and we made a schedule, eating and everything, and I didn't see anyone for 49 days, and I let my hair grow. So when I came back to the Zen Center, I had a beard. Then Zen Master Sung San used to always like his students to cut off their beards. He thought their face was more clear. But surprisingly, when he saw me, he told me, keep this beard. Very good. Now no checking face. So I didn't shave off the beard. Some months later, something else was going on in the Zen Center, and some kind of business or something. And I had to go see San Sunim, and we were sitting on the floor, and I said something to him. I know it was something I wanted to do. And I had given some money to the Zen Center years before to help us buy Cumberland. And I don't know why, but suddenly I said to him, I gave the Zen Center money. And he grabbed me by the beard and shoved my face into the ground. And with a really nasty voice and face, he said, you gave! And I understood right away. If you read the Diamond Sutra, it says very clearly, no giver, no gift, no receiver. If you keep that mind, this is true giving. But if you have this mind, I'm giving this to you, it reduces the merit. It reduces the benefit. It's not true, pure giving. So he didn't exactly hit me, but he did pull my beard and shove my face into the ground. He never said anything about the beard, but I went and shaved it off afterwards, so he had one less thing to grab. So I think that's the closest I could say to him. I hit you 30 times, but it was probably more effective than just saying it. I have some other kongans that are interesting in here, the comments. Here's one. It's for those who have this kongan book and are interested, it's number 7. It's an old story about Unmun Zen master from China. One day a monk asked Zen master Unmun, without thinking, is there a mistake or not? Unmun replied, Sumi mountain. Then the monk said, already it's without thinking, so why do you add Sumi mountain? Unmun said, put it all down. The monk was puzzled, so he said, without thinking, how do you put it all down? Then Unmun said, then pick it up and carry it away. So Zen Master Sung San's commentary is, a dog is barking, woof woof. A rooster is crowing, cock-a-doodle-doo. A cat purrs, meow meow. All animals understand their true speech. What is your true speech? Open your mouth and it's already a mistake. Close your mouth, it's also a mistake. What can you do? If you remain silent, then Unmun's stick has already given you 30 blows. What do you say? If you put it all down, then everything is already yours. So open your mouth, 30 blows. Close your mouth, 30 blows. What can you do? So a number of times in the commentary in this book, and occasionally in his public teaching, and definitely in the history of Zen, many Zen masters have used this phrase, I hit you 30 times. Now, perhaps 1,000 years ago, in some situations, Zen masters actually hit people. Lin Chi's very, very famous Zen master from China in our tradition. He lived probably about 1,200, 300 years ago. And he was a student of Huang Po. And basically, his story is that he was in Huang Po's temple. Then the head monk noticed that this man, later called Lin Chi, was a very simple monk, very straightforward in his practice. So the head monk thought, this is a good monk. So he went up to see him and asked him, how long have you been in this temple? And he said, I've been here 3 years. He had ordained in different temples and eventually came to Huang Po's temple. Then the head monk asked Lin Chi, have you been to see the master? Have you asked him any questions? Then Lin Chi said, no, I've never asked him a question. Then the head monk said, why don't you go ask him a question? So Lin Chi thought, okay. And he went and asked permission to enter Huang Po's room. And he bowed to Huang Po and he asked him, what is the essential meaning of Buddhism? Then Huang Po apparently grabbed a stick and started beating him and just drove him out of the room. So Lin Chi went back to the monk's quarters, and some time passed and the head monk went to see him and said, how'd it go when you visited Huang Po? Then Lin Chi said, well, I asked him a question, but he just beat me with a stick and drove me out. Then the head monk thought about that and said, well, maybe you better ask him a second time. Maybe he's testing, how sincere you are. So Lin Chi thought, okay. So he goes to see Huang Po again, and he goes in and bows and asks him again, what's the deep meaning of Buddhism? And again, Huang Po grabs a stick and starts beating him, drives him out of the room. So he goes back to the monk's quarters. Sometime later, the head monk sees him and says, oh, how'd it go when you saw the master? And Lin Chi said, he just beat me again and drove me out. I don't know my mistake. Then the head monk said, go see him again. 3 times is very important. In English, we say 3 times is the charm. You try something 3 times, you'll get something. So Lin Chi goes back and enters his room, bows to Huang Po, and asks him, what is the essence, the meaning of Buddhism? And again, Huang Po grabs a stick, starts beating him, and drives him out. At that, Lin Chi just thinks, oh, I can't learn anything here. So he goes back to the monk's quarter and he starts packing his bag. The head monk sees him packing his bag and says, what's going on? And Lin Chi says, well, I think I have no karma with Huang Po because every time I ask him a question, he just beats me. So I'll just go find another temple and practice and hope I have better karma there and can fully attain the way. Then the head monk thinks, this is a good man. So he gets an idea and he says, before you leave, you should go and visit the abbot, Huang Po, and thank him for the 3 years allowing you to live in the temple. So Lin Chi says, okay. Then the head monk goes ahead and goes to Huang Po and said, that monk who comes in here and you keep beating him, he's really good. And he's going to leave the temple now. So you give him some good advice, okay? So Huang Po says, okay. So Lin Chi comes and he bows to Huang Po and he says, thank you for allowing me to live here for 3 years and I'm going to leave now. And Huang Po says, well, on your journey, why don't you first stop at the Zen master Dae Bong. It means a big stupid. He's my Dharma brother and he lives in such and such temple. And I'm sure he will give you good teaching. So Lin Chi says, okay, and he leaves. Who knows how long it took him to travel to this other temple, but he goes directly to Dae's temple. And when he arrives there, he asks to meet the abbot, and he's brought in and he bows to Dae. And Dae says, where are you coming from? And Lin Chi says, I'm coming from Huang Po's temple. Then Dae asks him, what kind of teaching did you receive at Huang Po's temple? Then Lin Chi says, I asked him what the most important part of Buddhism is, and he just beat me three times. I asked him that, and he beat me. Where's my mistake? Then Dae Said, Lin Chi taught you like the love of a grandmother. Then when Huang Po taught you with the love of a grandmother. Then when Lin Chi heard that, boom, he got enlightened. Then Dae saw Lin Chi had suddenly gotten enlightened and said, what did you get? Then Lin Chi says, well, this teaching of Huang Po's there's not much to it. Then Dae says, before you want to know where your mistake is, now you're saying that his teaching, there's nothing to it. What's with you? Then Lin Chi steps forward and punches Dae in the ribs 3 times. And Dae pushes him away and says, that's between you and Huang Po. You go back and see him. So he goes back to see Huang Po. Then they meet out, in the courtyard, and he bows to Huang Po, and Huang Po says, what are you doing back here so soon? And then he can see Lin Chi got enlightenment. So right away, he says, attendant, bring the ink and paper. He's going to write a certificate of his enlightenment. Then Lin Chi shouts, attendant, bring the fire, because he realizes these certificates, they have no meaning. You either attain or you don't. But then Huang Po says, I understand your mind, but you must keep this paper. Then in the future, you can step on everybody's tongue, which of course means in the future, nobody can say that you didn't get transmission. So anyway, that's a time when it sounds like Huang Po actually physically beat him 3 times, drove him out of the room. Nowadays, if you start doing that, you'll probably end up in the police station soon. But back then, I guess it was pretty normal and current occurrences in society. People hit each other. Well, I don't want to talk all this time because it's more interesting if you have some questions. And I noticed the chat button lights up as I'm talking. So I'd like to ask the moderator if there's any questions.
There's one question from Sunim, actually, the master.
Sunim.
Yes.
I hit her 30 times. Okay, next question.
She hit you first. Okay, her question is, why 30 times? Why hit 30 times? Not 40 times, not 50 times, or not 10 times? Why 30?
Ask Sunim, how many times do you want? Maybe 60 times necessary. I don't know, maybe it sounds good in Chinese. 30 sounds good. If we say I hit you, if you say I hit you twice, it doesn't have much power to it. I hit you 30 times really could give you don't know mind. What? I don't know. She's Chinese. Maybe she can figure it out. Sounds good in English.
Well, then I also have this question. A similar question, like when we do bow, right? Every day we are in retreat, we are asked to do 108 bows. So why not 54? Why not 1,000 bows? Why 108 bows?
Every day you must bow 1,000 times and then you'll understand. Try that for 3 weeks. It'll help your life.
Thank you, Zen Master.
You're welcome. Yeah, as I understand it, 108 comes from Hinduism, and they say that the human consciousness has 108 compartments or 108 defilements, ignorances. And each bow is to clean one compartment of your mind, to clean one hindrance, one defilement. So that's why Zen Master Sun San said, the 108 bows we do in the morning is already a repentance ceremony. Without all the chanting and everything, the action itself is put it all down. It's already repenting for our desire, anger, and ignorance without even thinking about it. Just doing it is already repentance practice. So that's why in our practice, we always include bowing, and they use this number 108 from Hinduism. If you want to know why they got 108, you'd have to ask, scholars. Maybe they understand where this 108 came from.
Right.
The thing I notice about 108 is it's not too easy, it's not too hard, but you have to make an effort. You get to 54 and it's like, yeah, that was nothing, but I only got another 54 to do. Okay.
Thank you for the answer.
You're welcome.
There is this next question. Now Zen, you are already a Zen master, right? Zen Master Dae Bong. So last time you were hit by your teacher, Zen Master Song San. So after you have become a Zen master, are there others who are able to hit you? Have you been?
Ouch, 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 ouch. The students hit you all the time. Everything hits you. If you take it that way, you'll learn a lot. One time I was in the office at PZC quite a long time ago, around 1978, I remember. And my karmic habit, and I think pretty much the habit of my family, I don't remember hearing family members talk badly about other people very much. I remember one time as a little kid sitting playing with some cars, and my grandfather was reading the newspaper, and he put it down. Obviously, he read something that made him unhappy, and he said to me, some people in this world just aren't good. So that's honest, direct, but pretty mild. He's not, cursing out people and stuff. So I generally grew up with this habit of not saying bad things about other people. It wasn't conscious. It was totally a habit. But one day I'm in the office at the Zen Center. I remember talking about this at Hoeh Beng Temple one time. And I said something bad about somebody, and I turned around to leave. And the door, if this was the door, it was open. And the edge, this way, the edge was facing like this. And I turned to leave and I walked right into the edge, and it hurt, and I backed off, and then I bowed to the door and said, thank you very much. So if we're paying attention, this whole universe will hit you, when you hold opinions, and that's a great help. And maybe after, I am not a Zen master, but I have that job. Somebody gave me that job. So everybody hits you constantly, the whole world's always hitting us.
Right. Zen master, normally when we get hit, right, we hope that once we get hit, we wake up. Now, but a lot of times when we go, this is another question actually, when we go for an interview, we expect to get that hit and then we wake up. But most of the time it doesn't happen. We don't even feel the hit. We are very confused, and we keep wondering what has happened. So how do we learn from this? Because when you say hit, right, we are expecting something bang and then wake up, right? But we don't get that in an interview. So what do we do?
That question, what happened there is the hit already. Sometimes the world's hits or the teacher's hit is very subtle. It doesn't have to be I hit you or physically hitting or the words I hit you. It might be very subtle. And just that you have a question about it, you've already been hit. So don't wait for a hit to wake you up. Hit yourself. Ask yourself. Pay attention to your own thinking and realize when your opposites thinking is appearing.
Now, Zen Master, I personally have this question. We are all, I think the whole world is faced with this pandemic and the consequences, right? And a lot of people who are in the business are worried because everybody is talking about recession. They are talking this will be the perfect storm, like the worst recession that will hit us, don't know in how many, 10, 100 years or even or 50 years. And a lot of people panic, right? And then, and I think panic is the general feeling now I don't know about the other part of the world, but in Malaysia, I feel that a lot of us who are doing business or even those who are in employment, we panic because we worry. We might be retrenched, we may lose our job. We can't get payment, we can't get business. So what are the practical things that you would suggest that we do?
First, to reduce your panic by learning how to calm down. Do things that help your body calm down and pay attention. Panic is it's something happening. There's always an element in the body. It probably comes from our thinking, but you can be aware of it in the body. And learn to do things that help. Things like do yoga, learn meditation, eat wisely. If you're eating lots of McDonald's hamburgers and sugars and unhealthy things, then your body will be much more susceptible. Also, you'll have less confidence. You'll be more attached to your body because ultimately worrying about money is worrying about my body's survival at its root. Second point, so do things that actually help your body be less stressed. Then consider deeply your relationship with food, sleep, sex, money, fame. Reflect back on yourself. What is my relationship with each of these things? If you make a balanced, healthy relationship with those things, then there's less to get stressed about. Third, really consider what's important in your life and eliminate what's not important. How many pairs of clothing do you need? How many pairs of shoes do you need? How many things that we accumulate do we really need? Actually, this virus is an early warning to humans as individuals and to our societies that we are living out of balance. It's an opportunity to revamp personally what's important to us in our life, to make it more simple and to make it more related to what's really important, not just what we use to distract ourselves or try to satisfy our feelings. And it's a chance for society to adjust. Our economic system is way out of balance. It's unsustainable the way things are set up. And an idea won't change it. Only the realization of a balanced life will change it. And that always starts with individuals. I saw an article in the Guardian English newspaper that many cities around the world are thinking about how to, when they start up again, how to make their city life more green, more healthy, more balanced. There's one city in Costa Rica that has given citizenship to insects, animals, and plants and trees that live in the city, to help people realize that we are all on this earth together and that their survival also makes for our survival. So those are small ways that can help us really learn. Look at America. The government, of course, primarily the president, has not used the special powers he has to get a coordinated effort to make ventilators. He's left it to the individual companies that either make them or that might, of their own generosity, do that. But he has the power under this kind of emergency to get a coordinated effort. But he did order that the meat packing plants be reopened. So that is the kind of mind that leads to not learning. So if we as a society, as individuals and as a society do that, then one day nature will give us a much stronger message, and it will be much more disruptive and much more difficult to adjust to. So we should realize this is a great opportunity. But first you have to lower your panic. Lower your panic. Panicking means too attached to your body, too attached to your idea. So who knows, maybe the universe gave us this virus to give us a chance, because the next hits, if we don't learn, will be much bigger and much more disruptive. I feel absolutely. I've seen that in my own personal life. When I get a good warning and I ignore it, I get a bigger hit later. So I think this is just the way the universe functions. It's not good or bad. It's just wise to take advantage, see what's happening and take advantage of the opportunity. And wasting too much time thinking about what others are doing won't help you. And for a while, I started to read the news every day, particularly what's happening in America. And I was thinking, you know, why don't they wise up? Why don't they use this opportunity? And then I thought, how am I using this opportunity to be more clear about what I'm doing? So now I'm practicing harder. So don't complain about society. Practice hard, get enlightenment, and make a more healthy and balanced life. Even if you don't get enlightenment, make a more healthy and balanced life that relates more to the reality.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next question. Zen wants us to keep don't know mind. Does it mean that it encourages us not to ask questions in life?
Well, first of all, Zen doesn't want anything. But the teaching is, if you want to become more clear and have a more satisfying experience of this world and yourself, don't know is the way. Don't know means having a question. Why do my wife and I keep fighting? Why do my kids not listen to me? Why do I keep getting fatter? Why am I so crazy about money that I always want to make more money? That's don't know mind. So your questions about this life already are don't know. Take them seriously. But if your question is just, how can I get more money? That's a kind of don't know. It's probably going to make you end up panicking or gloating that you got something wonderful until the world takes it away somehow.
Okay, the next question. The person who asked this question says she recently joined a course during I think related to COVID-19. That's what my understanding of her question. And then she said the speaker says, knowing is half of the battle. So she asked, do you agree with the statement whether knowing is already half? I think what she means is knowing you have already won half the battle.
What is knowing? That's very important. You know, we say there's a difference between understanding and wisdom, knowing and wisdom. You know when you're hungry, you have to eat. If you don't go and do it, then you're still going to be hungry.
Right.
Yeah, maybe half the battle is knowing, but if you don't do the other half, you're not going to get any result at all. Many people know that they should end their relationship, but they never do it. And then 20 years later, they are so miserable that they end it. Yeah, maybe it's half the battle. But, I heard there's a Chinese saying, if you have a journey of 100 miles, consider 90 miles halfway. In which case, knowing isn't halfway yet. You got to do it.
Okay. And sorry, Zen Master, I'm asking the admin. Is question number 6 complete? We have a question here. Hi, Zen Master. How can we help a person who has emotional condition? For example, someone who is depressed because they have no work, no money, and no food. How can we help on the emotional part besides giving money and food? And there's also people who are worried about what will happen to the world due to the pandemic, and he's imagining this to be the end of the world. So how can we help him calm down?
What helps you calm down? The person who asked. What helps you? If bowing helps you, then tell your friend, oh, bowing really helps me. Want to try it together? If going to the temple and chanting helps you, then invite them to join you. Maybe if they have a taste of it, they'll find it helps them too. So first look, what helps you? People get in a negative spiral, and some people actually, they don't realize it, but they desire that. That's not easy to break. Somebody has it depends on the type of problem, but often we'd say, oh, you tell your friend, I do 500 bows a day. It really helped me. I felt like you, and now I see there are things I can do to make my life better. Share your own experience if they're your friend, and then invite them along. Invite them to do it with you. Sometimes if people just get a taste and they have some try mind, then they will try. They'll do it. They get a taste. If your center's not strong, if your Dharma is not strong, then of course very difficult to teach them. If somebody believes in you, like many people believed in Sun Sunim, he could say, you must do 500 bows every day, and many people would try it. But he was also doing it. He didn't just tell us. He got up every morning, he bowed with everybody, he did chanting, he did sitting, he ate together. Together action is a great way to help somebody. If you can't do that, then just say, oh, this helps me. Maybe it will help you. You want to try together with me. Sometimes this together is good. Somebody can be drowning and you can throw them a rope, but if they don't grab it, there's nothing you can do about it. Maybe if you're strong, you can jump in, grab them, and pull them out. But if you're not, you both drown. So definitely talk to your friend and try and help. Try and tell them what you found has helped you, and you'd be happy to do it with them, or they come along with you, and just try, see if it helps. You can't make somebody try. There's a saying in English, probably there's something similar in Chinese. You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Thank you, Zen Master. I think the Chinese saying is an ox. You can't force the ox to drink the water by pressing its head down. Something like that.
In English, for whatever reason, it's a horse.
Right. Okay, there's a rather philosophical question here. Zen Master, what does enlightenment mean to you?
I hit you 30 times. What do you say? say? That person has chat. Maybe they can answer that. I say, I hit you 30 times. What do you say?
So yes, Zen Master has asked the person who asked the question, please answer. Zen Master, I have this question. Now, we have been in lockdown, confined in our homes, right, for almost 2 months now. So family members get to spend time a lot more than usual. And what are the activities that you would suggest that we do, so that firstly to avoid conflict, to avoid arguments, and also perhaps benefit us more? Because for example, I've tried, right? I have a niece at home, a teenager, but it's very difficult for us to get her to do bowing. So what are the activities that would suggest, like for family with young people or kids, that the parents can do together with them?
Well, one thing is understand what they want, and then you can use that to help them do some things. Now, one thing that's very nice, that's easy, since people do it all the time anyway, is to teach people to breathe slowly and deeply. You know, basically teach them some simple Sun Yu, okay? And you can talk about when you breathe in, imagine all the air goes down to your lower belly. And then when you breathe out, a little bit pull your lower belly in and take a long exhale. And let's try that together for 3 minutes or something like that. Then they try that, they'll naturally, physiologically feel a little better, okay? And then you can build from there. A very young person, maybe 8 years old, they can do that for like a couple minutes, 3 minutes. Little older, 12, 13, maybe 5 minutes. Begin with a small amount, but like a teenager, 16, 17, you begin with 3 minutes, then let's try it again, you know, but you can use what they want to help them. One story, there was a Korean girl who was born to Korean parents in Japan, and her family really couldn't take care of her. And they were often leaving her with a foster home. But after some time, 6 months, the mom would show up and take her out, and kept doing that to her. So the kid never felt settled in some situation. So Dae Sunim knew the mother's sister. She was his student, and she told Sunim about this and asked him to help. So that time, very interesting, Sunim, this is in around 75, I think. Sunim went to them, they brought the mother to see him, and Sunim said, how about I take your daughter to America? That time it would be a big deal. Oh, take your daughter to America, and she can stay in our Zen center, and one of my students will become like her guardian, and she can get educated in America. She'll learn English, she'll get a good education, and you know, what do you think about that? And the mother said, good. And so he did. He brought this girl to America. And so she was 7 years old, living in the Zen center. I met her when she was 9. And she was like a little sister to everybody in the Zen center. So then he gave her actually to Zen Master Song Yang, who was, you know, a nurse and living in the Zen center. She was housemaster at the time. And so they slept together in the same room, and she became her legal guardian. She got her enrolled in school, but she had to get up every morning and do 108 bows and chanting. Then she was allowed to go take a little nap before breakfast in school. So she did that. Then summer vacation comes. Her name was Kie. Then summer vacation comes, and she's a very clever, smart little girl. So she says to Bobby, now I have school vacation, so I also have practicing vacation. So I'm not getting up in the morning. Then Bobby said, no, you know, this is a good chance. You need to get up anyway. It doesn't matter, school or not. She said, no, when I have school vacation, I have practice vacation. So then Bobby went to Sunim, and Sunim said, bring her to me. So Hoeh came in and bowed to Sunim, and Sunim said, Hoeh, when you grow up, what do you want to be? Then she said, I want to be a witch. How do you say that in Chinese? Witch.
巫婆.
Yeah. In Korean, it's manyo, you know. In the West, they have a big nose and they ride on a broom. So she wants to be a witch. So Sansanim said, you can. You have to do 108 bows every morning and 10,000 Kwanzaa bosos every day for 100 days. Then this special Dharma energy come into you. You can become powerful witch. Then, okay, I do it. And she did it. So actually, 2 years later, I moved in the Zen Center, and she told me this story, and she said, you know, by the end of the summer, I didn't really care if I became a witch or not. So you can use what they, especially kids or teenagers, what they want to help them practice. Because basically, it's true. If you practice, you get Dharma energy. If you get Dharma energy, there's a real opportunity to see if to fulfill your wishes. It may be as you go along, if your wish becomes more clear, it changes by itself as you experience practice. So, you know, you have to understand, if it's your daughter, understand her mind. What does she want, you know? Oh, she wants to be beautiful. You can tell her, oh, you know, the best treatment for the skin is slow breathe in, slow breathe out. Then teach her that. It's not expensive, you know. Look at me. Look at Dae Bong Sunim. He was so ugly when he was a layperson. Now he's almost 120 years old and his skin's so, but not bad for his age, you know, like that. Some kind of speech. Look at Chun Wen Sunim. She's already an old person, but has energy. Very good, very wonderful, happy. Okay?
Okay.
So use that with your family members. You know, my father, I also taught him to slow breathe in, slow breathe out. He already had a disease of the lungs from smoking cigarettes. So I knew it would never make him better, but it might help him a little bit calm down. So after I taught him, that week I was visiting, he asked me to drive him to the eye doctor. He was like almost 80 that time. So I took him to the eye doctor, and we're sitting in the waiting room. And I'd always wake up early to do 500 bows before, even at my parents' house, before we meet for breakfast. I time it 2 hours before we have to meet. I can do 500 bows in 1 hour, take a shower, do whatever I want, and then we can eat breakfast together. So I was a little tired. So in the waiting room, I just fell asleep for about 20 minutes. And then when I woke up, my father hadn't gone to the doctor yet. And he said to me, you know what I did while you were sleeping? I said, no. He said, I tried that breathing thing you taught me. So, you know, breathing's so simple because they do it anyway. Well, somehow something's coming in on me.
Huh?
I don't know. I lost the picture. Oh, I see. Somebody was calling my phone and it affected my computer.
Can you see now? Can you see
I can
us?
see you. Yeah, I can see you. I'm in a very little frame now, not a big frame. Anyway, go ahead. If you can hear and see me, fine, no problem.
Okay, so there's this question. The person asked, do you have experience dealing with narcissistic people? She said from her experience, or from his experience, it's very challenging to her center. So what do you have to say about that, Zen Master?
Be careful. I mean, you say they're narcissistic, but if they really are, even clinically narcissistic, very not easy to deal with. In general, best is avoid.
Okay.
Don't get into a fight.
Don't get into a fight. Okay. And this and
Be very clear about your own boundaries. Very clear.
There's this question. Zen Master, just now you said, oh, you very often get hit by your students and by the universe. Have you ever hit your teacher, Zen Master Song San?
I think my whole life was hitting him, but he got enlightenment and made me pay for it.
There is a question.
I never hit him physically. No way. It's like hitting your father. What's wrong with that's a little off. Actually, here's a story. I was a fairly new student. I was still layperson, so it was within a couple years of coming to live in the Zen Center. And I had gone up to Boston with Zen Master Sun San and a couple people. He was teaching at the Boston Zen Center. And I guess we all went out for lunch or dinner to a Chinese restaurant. And we were sitting there eating, and they brought a second pot of tea. And I saw that, Dae Sunim held his cup up. But when I poured the tea, I didn't realize how full it was. And so it overshot the cup and went on his hand. And it was very hot because it had just arrived at the table. And he was like, oh. And he was, rubbing his hand and stuff. And I said, oh, sorry, sir, I'm sorry. And he didn't say anything really. We took a glass of water and put it against his hand to cool it down a little bit. That was that. Then later in the meal, he was pouring tea in everybody's cup and they were lifting their cups up. But when he came to me, I didn't lift my cup up. I offered my hand like this. And he looked at me and he just said, not possible. And he went around my hand and poured it in the cup. So in his revenge was not possible with it. That was not going to be the cause and effect. I might accidentally get my hand burned, but he was not going to do that. Okay.
Story, very lovely story. There's one more question. I think we make that the last because actually we only have like 2 more minutes to 3. So let's make this the last question, Zen Master. The question goes this way. I have a 7-year-old daughter who chants with me almost every day. But sometimes she will say, can I have 1 day off from chanting today? So I will tell her, look, Buddha is watching you every night. So he might ask you, why are you not chanting tonight? Then you will need to answer him. The question is this a good way to answer my girl? Is that sort of a threat to her?
How does she react? How does the girl react? If it's okay, she just accepts it and tries, fine. If she gets really weird, then you have to try a different technique.
Oh, the answer here is she said she's scared. She's scared by that because so she will continue to chant.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I didn't raise any kids. Give her some present, some Buddhist present, and say, don't worry about it. Buddha loves you. Something. You don't want her practicing just out of fear, that's not so good. Yeah. Once in a while, give her a night off. Yeah. Once in a while, tell her, tonight, no problem.
Okay. So is there any more question? Sorry, Zen Master, because I'm having a question from the WhatsApp chat group. I just need to make sure. Have we all asked all the question already? Because I don't see any new question here.
No question is big question, so no problem.
Okay, all right. So yes, thank you, Zen Master, for answering the question, and thank you for giving us the talk and encouragement.
Thank you, everybody.
And then now we will, because we have had 2 sessions, 2 Dharma talks today, we will invite Zen Master to lead us to dedicate merits by reciting the 4 great vows.
Everybody, wherever you are, Hap Chang, and we'll recite them in English. Sentient beings are numberless. We vow to save them all. Delusions are endless. We vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite. We vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable. We vow to attain it.
Thank
Everybody,
you.
you're welcome, but everybody please stay well, and hope your families stay well. Definitely try to reduce your anxiety, and things just go by natural process. So don't be afraid of natural process. If you focus too much on the outside, then you'll become anxious. Do some practice that helps you reduce your anxiety, and then it will be easier to see what you can do that will help your situation this moment. If you think too much into the future, that will never help you anyway. So please try hard. This is a good opportunity for all of us to use to make our center and our practice stronger. And that will help you always.